This is a great book.
LOL.
Oh, okay.
Do you teach class this week? No, you're done.
Not until
Apparently there were 8 magnificent frigate birds.
today? Huh?
I don't know if it's accurate or not, but
That's gotta be in there.
Atlantic Avenue.
They some, if their eyes are bad, there's stuff on the app.
Reliable.
Well, and it doesn't.
There we go. I brought a bunch of calendars. If anyone wants to take a calendar, please.
Okay.
Anything you don't take is gonna go to Birds and Beer Saturday night.
What's birds and beer?
After
Gathering.
after the Christmas bird count.
Bird.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Muriel, can you hear us?
Yes,
Right.
I can. You're a little bit quiet, but yes, I can hear you.
I can be. I'm wondering, I need to put the mic up a little bit on that.
Y'all
Take a
different?
look here.
Yeah, it's the, the free ones we get, it just seems to belong to a record number of.
Really? Already got one at home, I think.
Oh, look at those random
One of those work.
From each nonprofit advocacy group dealing with nature, animals.
I thought they were all Audubon Society bird.
So you can just.
There's none in here from.
Identify with, right.
Yeah, pretty good. Well, could be a function of the photos. Music birds.
Chimps. I will turn the.
Birds and beer, a lot of calendars.
Muriel, can you hear it better now?
Yeah, I think so. And I have my headset set to where it usually is, so probably good.
Okay. And let's see who's here.
Some of these dates kind of very blurry for me. This one's very distinctive and this kind of blurs. Can't really see the birds.
How many lions are in this tree?
They're looking, I brought a bunch of calendars to give away.
Is it a tree full of lions or
We
a
get it in and.
lion full of a tree?
It's definitely a tree full of lions.
No. And this is after I gave a whole bunch away on Halloween.
That's even more.
Whose calendars are they?
They come to Sue and me.
From
So
whom?
it's-
Or just
it's-
all the various people who send you calendars?
Yeah,
It's like-
there's people you donate to.
Yeah, it's like no good deed goes unpunished.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a few at home. I've been thinking of giving them to like friends of kids to for like collages or something.
It does make great collage material.
Yeah.
I just remember cleaners giving them out all the time, but
Vision
then
board.
that's probably old.
Okay, we're recording. My phone is sitting here, so yes, I have to look at the clock on the computer. It's 6:30. We do have a forum in the room. Present, we have Fernando Valley Audubon sharing tonight. Bree Katz from LA Audubon. Joe Phillips from Sierra Entrance chapter. Aaron Orr from Friends of the LA River. And Dan Cooper from RCD. So we have 5 people here, and we also have Glenn Bailey representing the Encino Neighborhood Council. So I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:31 now.
Is there a rep from Lake Balboa? You know
Online,
him? Mary? Never met her, I've seen her posts on Nextdoor.
online, we have Muriel Coton, Barbara Heidemann, and Mike B. Mike, can you identify yourselves? I'm not sure who Mike B is.
Hello.
And we have a Miss.
Hello, I'm sorry. This is Mike Browning, the former president of the Neighborhood Council.
Oh, hi. Good evening, Nick. And I'm Mule from LSN.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see everybody's faces. Thank you for all you do. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Mike. I see, where'd she go? There's Kathy Schreiner from Van Nuys Neighborhood Council.
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. Okay, and Rosie from CD6 is here.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Do we have any discussion regarding the November meetings? I do know Muriel Coton had a minor change to the consortium minutes. And it results in a one-word change. At the end of it, it says Sepulveda Basin Wildlife Area Consortium is an alliance of the following organizations. I changed it to the above organizations. And they are all enumerated in item 1 above.
Time change, as far as I'm concerned, do we need to formally make that?
So,
I don't think we need to do anything with it, do we?
well, the consortium would have to be done by the consortium, not by this group.
The minutes.
And then for the minutes of this group, the date up at the top, was that corrected to September 30th?
Oh, we're dealing with this, you know what? I have the November minutes. And the one that was linked in the agenda was September, and yes, that was corrected.
Okay.
And the corrected minutes were set out. Problem with dealing with the November minutes, if everyone is okay with that.
Yeah, if you could read it.
Okay,
Oh, you sent them, right? But okay.
I'll send them over. Correct.
I can find but
But yeah, anyhow, it's a miracle it's coherent. Let's see. So we're going to defer the November minutes to January. The corrected September minutes with the date corrected and Glenn's time of attendance should be up on the website.
Great.
Do we have public, we're up to item 3 in the agenda, public comment on non-agenda items within the subject matter. Do we have anyone in our audience with comments?
I believe Kathy Schreiner may want to comment with regards to park needs assessment meeting coming at the recommendation meeting.
Raise your hand if you want to make.
Okay, well, I mean, it's just that the Rec and Parks Commission on Thursday will hear the presentation of the final park needs assessment. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it is attached to the board report. So on the page of agendas for Recreation and Parks. And then I also received an email today, so maybe some of you did, saying that the presentation would be at the RAP Commission meeting on Thursday.
Thank you. It's just at 6:36. I need to look. Okay, thank you for that, Kathy. I will take a look at it. Do we have any other public comment?
Isn't it at 6:30?
Seeing none, Rosie. What do you have for us?
Sorry, I'm not sure if it's just me, but it is cutting off a little bit. Is anyone else experiencing that?
I don't know, the problem is I'm using my phone as a hotspot and maybe it's not busy enough, but can everyone else hear okay?
We won't know, but
I can,
Line, say something again?
I can turn on my hotspot too if you want.
I mean, just making sure that everyone can hear me.
I can hear you good.
Okay, awesome. In that case, I do have a few brief updates. So those illegally dumped piles that are on Burbank and Woodley should be getting addressed throughout the course of the next few weeks, finally. But if you notice, they've already been covered by kind of like a tarp. So Wrecking Parks is working with I believe AQMD to get that facilitated and removed from the basin. The Army Corps of Engineers are about 95% complete in zones 3 and 6 for the debris removal. And then once they finish that, they will begin the vegetation management portion of things throughout the course of the next 2 months. There's still going to be a lot of work being done in zones 3 and 6 by the Army Corps. Sorry, did you want me to continue or was there something to add?
No, I'd say continue. We have been watching what's been going on over there, so.
Okay, cool. So I can continue. But this is just more so like more newer news because we had a meeting today. But the mayor's office, along with the council district, city attorney's office, and LAPD are meeting to figure out more of a long-term strategy for enforcement and repopulation. So that's something that will be coming down the pipeline as we get further information as to what we can and can't do to keep the unhoused population out of the basin and actually enforce it, especially in the zones that have already been addressed through vegetation management. So I just wanted to let folks know that those conversations are happening. While there isn't anything concrete yet, we are working on it collectively with all the different departments. And in addition to that, those are, I would say, the main things that are happening in the basin so far. Once I have more, I'm happy to keep you all updated.
Thank you, Rosie. And I actually have some updates via Larry from the mayor's office that kind of build on what Rosie just shared. So I can deliver those. So Bureau of Public Works, River Rangers and their contractors, LA Conservation Corps, are continuing daily vegetation management. This was supported for 1 month by Chrysalis Resilience Force, who were trained to partner, and they're working on funding additional support from Chrysalis moving forward. LASAN and LFD worked this past 2 weeks and removed 22 tons of debris, including over 30 embedded shopping carts and several large fallen trees that have created a dank swamp just to the south of Cedar because it enters the LA River. And Cedar is flowing much better and not diverting into the really stinky swamp area, which is almost completely dried up. LASAN has removed 56 tons total. Zones 11 and 12, not including the 12 bins that were paid for by CD6 to get things started. Thanks again. So all of that seen. Wrecking Parks has now posted zones 11, 12,
I have lost Nurit and I have a message. Okay, Pat is back to being the host, fortunately. Okay, I'll shut up. Pat, we seem to have lost you or you're frozen. I'm not hearing anything, nor is it showing that you're talking.
It looks like you're muted.
Hey, Muriel, we're changing the connection to a different hotspot, so just bear with us for a second. Sorry
Okay,
about the
thanks.
connection issues. And while they're changing, I'm connected on my phone. Can anyone tell me the last thing they heard me say so I know where to restart?
It broke up a little bit. You were talking about something about rec and parks, but I hadn't understood some of the previous sentences because it was choppy.
Okay, I'll just redo the report. Thank you.
That was
Okay.
4048.
report.
So very,
I'm not hearing anybody in the meeting in person. And I will throw in the comment that I do hope we're able to go back to remotely only, where everybody can hear and see the speaker. Can anybody hear me?
I mean, I can, but that's because I'm on
Yes.
Zoom.
Yeah, I can hear you as well.
Okay, so we've kind of lost connection between the people in person and the remote ones.
Right. So apparently they were trying to reestablish a hotspot or something.
Nurit, can you hear us?
Sorry about that.
Yay.
Yay.
all right, so we're back. I'm going to start over again on the report from the mayor's office, which is a multi-agency report and builds on some of what Rosie shared. So this is via Larry Frank. So the first item was that the Bureau of Public Works River Rangers and their contractors, the LA Conservation Corps, continue daily vegetation management. This was also supported for 1 month by Chrysalis, or the Resilience Force, who were trained to partner, and they are working on additional funding support for Chrysalis. Then LA SAN and LAFD worked the past 2 weeks. 22 tons of debris, including over 30 embedded shopping carts and several large fallen trees that had created a dank swamp just to the south of Encino Creek as it enters the LA River. The creek is flowing much better and not diverting into this stinky area, which is now almost completely dried up. LA SAN removed 56 tons total from zones 11 and 12, and that's not counting 12 bins that were paid for by CD6 to get things started. So big thank you to CD6 for that. They'll have the weight totals for all of that soon. Rec and Parks has now posted zones 11, 12, and 6 with metal no camping signage every 300 feet or so, and will post zone 1 next. The Rec and Parks Environmental Unit is addressing 3 large piles of illegal dumping just north of Burbank Boulevard and west of Woodley Avenue. They first covered the piles with tarps to make sure there's no wind-driven particulate, and have now spread out the piles 1 foot deep and tested dozens of sections. They're waiting for results of the testing to determine what portion can go to regular landfill and others that might need to be dealt with separately due to asbestos content. The park rangers, Dale Campo and Sharp, check daily for repopulation Sunday to Wednesday, and RAP security officers are checking on their days off Thursday through Saturday. 1 person was cited and arrested 2 weeks ago on prior warrants in zone 12. On release, they returned to their encampment and removed it all. 1 person set up a tent in zone 1 by the dam and has been removed. Rec and Parks HRST is about to clean up whatever remains of that encampment, and no other repopulation has taken place in zones 11, 12, or 1. We have 39 individuals that LASA has on their by name list from zones 11, 12, or 6. So far, 9 have been successfully placed into shelters or housing. So a big thank you to CD4 for making beds available to Sepulveda Basin people experiencing homelessness. RAP is continuing to review the San Fernando Valley application. That's a SFV Audubon application for right of entry for goat grazers. Pat might have an update on that. And then there's great progress from Army Corps of Engineers on Zone 6, but if Army Corps is on the call, we'll let them give an update on that. And if you have any follow-up questions, I can follow up with Larry on behalf of the committee. And so that's a big thank you from us to Larry Frank, Special Advisor to the Mayor, and Rosie, to you as well. This has been amazing to see the progress. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rosie, did you have anything else?
No, those are all of my updates for now. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I have an update from Hannah at the Army Corps that she emailed to me. They've scheduled a site visit on January 6th at 9 a.m. with their team to go over this year's vegetation management plan. You and the committee are welcome to join. This will be just a site visit. No work is expected to be performed this day. They will also be looking into removing vegetation and sediment from the inlet channel, but that work has not been scheduled yet. In addition, we have wrapped up our persons experienced homelessness cleanup, and the contractor is working on removing invasive species and sediment from the LA River between Orange Line Busway and Balboa. They will also be removing trash as necessary. Finally, we're still working through the public comments for the master plan, but are trying to wrap up before the holidays. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you. So that's the report from the Corps of Engineers. I imagine they'll be back after the holidays. And we should on January 6th, 1 or more of us should go in with them to take a look for the site visit.
What's the date again? The January
6th.
Okay.
And what time she said?
Something in the morning, 9, 8.
If I said what it was, hold on, I need to find I don't know. It's in the,
I thought you said 9, but I'm not sure.
just a minute. Let's see here. I will find the time again. Somehow the email disappeared.
Well, you can just send it to the committee.
It'll be in the minutes, which I'm
Yeah,
sending now.
okay, yeah, that's fine, don't worry about it.
9 AM,
Yeah.
0900. I am seeing no further government officials present, so I think we can move ahead in the agenda to item 5.
One question, where will they be meeting?
We meet,
The site visit.
I was going to answer the question. We meet, at the entrance to the dam, which is on, the south side of Burbank, right before the freeway ramp. So there's literally a locked gate there and you can pull into it. And, that's where we met last year.
Burbank, south side of Burbank. South side.
Right before the 405 on ramp.
That little fence, chain link fence.
There's a
Not really
chain link,
parking lot.
No.
it's-
there's no parking lot.
Yeah,
Ideally, they'll have it open, so don't get there too early.
Yeah, don't get there early. They'll have it open.
so as you go east on Burbank, you just
It-
pull right in
Right.
before the freeway.
Yes, it's on the south side.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have briefly discussed with Hannah the fact that the area that was vegetatively managed last year generated an awesome fire. So it, you know, and I'm very concerned this year with the amount of rain we've had early. And then the dry spell and nice warm dry spell and very concerned about the coming fire season. Okay, are we ready to move ahead to item 5? Which is the first item, 5.1.1, would be to consider the standing rule revisions to authorize a co-chair position in lieu of a vice chair. I'm not really sure what a vice chair is.
And before we start the discussion,
Yeah.
I think it's misnumbered. I think it should be 4. 4.1 point something rather than the 5, because the 5 is under subcommittees.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
hold on.
And I can answer the question. Well, actually, you all were here because the vice chair, I think, was relatively new addition, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, no, it is, it's 4. It's item 5 on our agenda tonight.
Oh.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, that's
I
confused,
see.
confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
4.3. Yeah, so I think, you know, the vice chair position was intended to be sort of like a vice president, a supportive role, you know, and then to succeed the person and become the president the following year. But I think, or chair, I think, you know, part of what we've seen in the past few years is that this committee, especially with the stronger coordination now and all the agencies involved, is a lot of work. And so I think what would be helpful is to really have a co-chair role. It would still be nice to set it up in a staggered way. I think longer terms, I don't know if we got to this part yet, but
No,
I recommend a longer term than 1 year, having been sort of the person who's done a lot of onboarding for the last few chairs with all of the different systems and our files and the listserv and everything. It'd be nice to have a little more continuity. So we could have 2-year staggered terms so that one co-chair is continuing with the next person each time, so that it's never like 2 new people at once would be a good, I think, approach.
So why does it make a difference of vice chair and co-chair? Having a chair and co-chair is not consistent with my experience, because usually if you have a co-chair, they're both co-chairs, because by definition, there's 2 of them.
Mhm.
And so I don't understand why the need to change. I understand the argument of 2-year staggered, I get that. But why?
Why co-chair instead of vice chair? I think it was mainly to indicate that the expectation is that the 2 co-chairs would really be kind of equal partners and doing a fair amount of work rather than just sort of having a backup vice chair to really, maybe they'll even alternate facilitating meetings or cover things differently. It was just more to kind of elevate it more to a partnership rather than a chair and vice chair.
I think there's probably a better way of doing that, but I've seen other groups that have done co-chair. Sometimes it works out, but depending on the personalities, it can go way south. So I think there should be a clear distinction between who is there has to be one person in charge, in my opinion. And if you're really lucky and two work really well together, but that hasn't always been the case. And I think we're looking at something that's long-term. This group has been in existence since 1990. So anyway, that's what I'm not convinced that I don't get a vote in this, but at this time, but I'm not convinced that the vice chair can't be made in here, that they're given responsibilities, just as you described, without causing the confusion of there being
Who's in the charge. That's fair. I mean, I think that's helpful feedback, Glenn. I've certainly, I think you're right. There is some personalities involved with how well people work together. I've been engaged with a lot of groups that did have co-presidents or co-chairs without any issues. But I think you're right that we could just be clearer about the responsibilities of vice chair and make sure that the people who step up into it, I think part of the challenge also has been for a number of years now, that it's just been a rotating chair by organization and not necessarily by who really has the time capacity or, so I was the one who recommended and begged Pat to continue. I think she's doing a fantastic job as chair. And I think, especially when someone is really putting in a lot of work and doing a great job, I don't see the need to have this rotation that we've had in the past. I think, not every representative of this committee is able to put in a lot of time outside the meetings, and having just that recognition of that and making sure that the people who step up to chair and vice chair are both prepared to really kind of do the work and liaison outside of meetings with agencies as needed, to do all the minutes, to do all the things that we're doing. So I'd be fine with retaining the term vice chair and just maybe adding some more clarity, either in the standing rules or, by way of minutes, to ensure that our expectation is that someone who vice chair is not just a vice chair in name, but really a partner.
Well,
fully supporting the current chair. I'm curious what other members think.
It is defined in 4.3 as assisting, so that is a sentence you can leave it up and do what you want to do with that. Just one thing, just so you know, the rotation, I totally agree with you as far as people who have time, but just historically, when this was established, we did it by practice, then we codified it in the standing rules. So it has been so that every group, so that no single group was dominated by being the chair all the time. And yes, it did make it more egalitarian in that respect, but you're right, it didn't account for those that had less time, et cetera, et cetera. But there was a definite reason that we did it, to make sure every group had an opportunity to be ahead of it.
I have a comment there.
Yeah.
I think I usually send out a request for agenda items. And I think everyone knows how to email me.
Yeah.
And, the other thing, this really is time consuming. And, I really, I don't want to be, if I continue doing this, I don't want to be beating my brains out, trying to see if we're going to get a quorum. In other words, it has to go two ways, and it can go two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would defer to Pat. If Pat, as the chair, feels that the system and the organization lends itself to a model of a co-chair, then that's the end of the discussion as far as I'm concerned. So regardless of people's philosophical opinions, this is like rubber hits the road. So unless you're adding agenda items dutifully every month and emailing people and hounding them for a quorum, I don't know, you don't get the same vote in my eyes. So I would say, I will defer to Pat's opinion. And I'm fully, my observation of this group is that people aren't clamming over themselves trying to be helpful to the committee. They're sort of slogging through it. and generally not contributing much, with a few exceptions, one of whom is Pat.
Mhm.
And Pat is doing an amazing job and and I would say anything we can do to empower, in my opinion, empower her and keep that momentum going. Now, if it were another organization and I was kind of getting bent out of shape because no one would ever listen to RCD, well, then I'd want it to rotate so I'd have a chance to assert myself. That's not how this organization works. This organization works by one person working very hard to marshal everyone else.
Thank you, Dan.
Go for
You know, I think you both have good points. I think the current chair should have a lot of input based on how things are working. I think Glenn raises some fair points. The standing roles are more of a long-term document. And so, you know, again, I think the co-chair, vice chair title doesn't matter so much. I think there's arguments to be made both ways, but I think the key thing to align with Pat's concerns is to make sure that it's clear in the standing rules and clear with the current membership that if she's going to continue as chair, she needs a real partner. You know, I'm open to stepping up in that role. I don't care the title. If there's someone else who really feels they're able and ready to contribute in that way, that's fine too, as long as they're really kind of willing to do the work. Erin, you had some thoughts as well.
Yeah, I just want to say 100% agreement on amending the term to 2 years. I think it's impossible to really like get your footing and establish yourself all in 1 year. And then I have so much respect and gratitude for you, Pat. You've done such an amazing job, and never have I ever once felt like one organization is dominating or having, you know, all to say. I think you're doing a wonderful job, and personally, I would be really grateful if you stayed on and did it again. And lastly, I think we all owe you better support, and I know I'm included in that. So, you know, should you decide to stay on, I personally commit to being a better committee member and supporting you in that work.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that would really be helpful would be the minutes. And we, you know, we do have the AI summary, which is very useful. You do need to look at it carefully.
Yeah. Did you
But
catch my email? It says senior neighborhood council and it should have said Encino.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's the type
some
of
stuff like
detail.
that happens, you know, and that I missed that one, sorry.
Yeah, and that, you know.
But there's some real doozies in there too. There's,
Did you do that?
I touched most of them.
That's been a gap since we lost our, the official membership of our amazing and very long-serving, secretary of the committee, which would be Muriel.
Amazing, Muriel Coden.
Exactly, so those are big shoes to fill.
Yes.
If anyone on here feels that they are good at minute taking and wants to kind of step up, it can also, I will say, you know, we've dealt with it in some groups by rotating. So, you know, we don't have to have just 1 minute taker if there are people who feel they could contribute in that way. I will say that is not a strength of mine. So there's a lot of other things I can bring to this committee. I'm not going to raise my hand for that one. I know Dan's handled it in the past sometimes. If any of the rest of you are really good at that type of note taking during the meeting, we can decide that now, or you can let Pat know. I don't think it has to be like a formal position. But yeah, thank you, Erin, on the 2 years and for your support. You know, if there's anything we can do to more indicate, since this would be a shift from the rotation to address the concern that Glenn raised from the history, is there anything we should add to the standing rules to just indicate that the chair is not there to represent their org and really should, you know, get input from everybody? We could certainly codify that more clearly, although I don't think it's been a big problem.
I mean, yeah, something like the chair serves at the will of the committee.
Yeah.
So a chair could be.
You have like elections once a year or something, but you could say that, you know, if there's ever concern about one organization being too dominant or something, I don't know if we need to put that in. I was more thinking something more positive that says, you know, part of the role of chair is to ensure that all organizations are represented in a balanced way and have voices, you know, on the committee. That wouldn't be too hard to add.
I have one question based upon the emails. It seems like we're looking at in 2026 of having the meetings monthly.
Yes.
Okay.
Except that you canceled January.
No,
I got an email, that said January is canceled.
it's not canceled.
No, it should still be on the thing. It may have been when I made a change. What may have happened is I changed a bi-monthly series to a monthly series. And so that may have shown up as like a cancel of some prior stuff, but let me just double check that it's in.
You got-
It's not canceled, whatever.
Okay.
The series should be in the calendar for beginning January 27th, Tuesday, January 27th, and it'll be every
Okay.
month unless there's a holiday and then we amend and do a
Yeah.
special meeting.
These, it's also running on my personal Zoom account.
Mhm.
And, you know, thank you to Audubon for loaning us Owl.
Yeah. You know, in long term, maybe we create a Zoom account for the committee, just so that isn't an issue with rotating chairs, but for now, we appreciate you hosting.
Did
So,
you say
yeah.
January 20th?
27.
27th. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I think it kind of seemed that a 2-year term staggered so that they, whatever we call it, the other second person
yeah,
would, but they could continue too.
yeah.
They could be extended, it's possible, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like with option for renew. I think let people serve as long as they're willing to put in the time.
How about
You know, I think like yearly, you know, or not yearly, but you know, biannual like election to check in, you know, are we satisfied with the leadership of this person? Do we want to nominate someone else? You know, as a committee, we can sort of determine that. We can-
So should we leave 4.1 alone? Or 4.1, it says
Well,
Each
that
or-
would be
each
where
or-
we change the term.
organization in good standing shall be obligated to have its representative serve as do we want the rotating thing or
I
do we
think we're
want them
deleting
elected?
the rotating. I think we're changing to elections.
We're
It's really
changing
based on like
To,
who's prepared to step up and lead and do a good job.
so,
So 4.1 would be each organization in good standing has an opportunity to shall have the opportunity to have a representative serve as committee chairperson and vice chairperson, and then get rid of the 4 term of office, blah, blah, blah. And
Well,
I think we should
of a
make it a
two-term
2,
one.
make it,
yeah,
there should be a term, shouldn't be.
right. So I think we should probably start with the term. So, yeah,
That as
so
a first,
like the first thing
Bullet,
should be,
yeah.
chairperson and vice chairperson shall serve and in 2-year staggered terms. Representation will be determined by nomination and election. Period. And then each organization in good standing has the opportunity to have a representative serve. If, you know, if they want to. If we feel like that's, I don't know, that's sort of obvious. Like the chair and vice chairperson can be from any
Right.
organization in good standing. How about that?
right, so, and obviously they couldn't
selected-
both be from the same.
As representatives from any organization in good standing. Yeah, and they are voting members, so they wouldn't be from the same organization.
Right,
There's ones-
obviously.
So, yeah, okay, so then the chairperson shall be responsible for preparing meeting agendas, conducting the meetings and other matters delegated by the committee. I would say the vice chair may serve or may conduct meetings and prepare agendas.
The last sentence on the 4.3.
Yeah, the 4.3,
There.
should we just strike the first part of that, the vice?
Yeah, exactly.
Person
First
shall-
sentence goes away,
That goes away.
and then the vice chairperson shall assist the chairperson as needed. This is perfect, yeah, and fulfill in their absence. That's what we're
Okay.
looking for. Great.
So on the first 4.1, you should tack on, this shall be effective January 2026, like
Sure.
we have there,
Effective January 2026.
assuming it passes.
Okay,
Great. Okay,
so that takes care of that. Let me
Did you
see.
want to beef up the responsibilities on the vice chair? You mentioned earlier, Nareed, that you thought there was some concern about them.
I think we can just set those standards, you know, verbally
Yeah.
as a committee. I think assist the chairperson as needed
Mhm.
indicates that they're ready to step up for whatever the chairperson needs. So as long as we are, you know, revisiting that and reminding everyone that that's what's really needed.
Yeah.
Then it's good.
I agree. I'm just going what you said.
No,
Thank you.
I agree also. And I mean, Nurit's been helping me this time, but it wasn't her job, so.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, you know, stuff happens. So, you know, I think we can, you know, people have illnesses, people have injuries, you know, stuff came up for Greg that he didn't plan.
Mhm.
So I think,
Yeah.
you know, we will deal with that as needed and you know, I don't know if we need to put it in here, but I think we can always host a midterm election if needed, if someone is no longer. able to-
Well, if someone becomes ill.
Exactly.
You know.
We step up. It's like Melanie was chair
Mhm.
and I stepped up because she couldn't chair because she was dealing with her illness. So I think there, you know, we can, I don't know if we need to put that in the standing rules or not, but I think we can deal with those sorts of illness or, you know, acts of God as they arise.
Okay, so I think that we've dealt with the agenda sections 5.1.1 and 5.1.2. Did we want to deal with the appointment now, or did we deal with the appointment in
I
January?
think you should agendize it so you do the standing rule revisions.
This is a small change, but I think 3.3 should really say email. It says that we mail the agenda.
I
Do
want
you
that,
want that in there?
I know, I want that changed.
Yeah. So that should be email.
I want to, this was not on the agenda, but section 3.3, I guess it might be covered somewhere here. Consider any other provisions. 3.3, we have never gotten, that I'm aware of, a week before to the committee.
Yeah, 72 hours, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's posted publicly 72 hours.
It's 72 hours and I don't know.
I mean, we usually get the draft agenda out to the committee about a week before.
No,
and
no.
then. And then.
I'll tell them roughly what we're gonna be doing with, but no, I don't get.
I would just get rid of at least 1 week and just have it be emailed in advance to the committee.
Considered,
And then the posting, I think, is determined by the Brown Act, so.
yeah, and we do that, it also shall be posted at least 72 hours in advance of the meeting and sent by email.
Yes,
Everywhere.
just mailed is changed to emailed and you get rid of at least 1 week. Those are the only changes.
And sent by email.
Can you, instead of the at least 1 week, can you just put in the same wording below that says at least 72 hours in advance? Because you have to have it
You
done
do
by
have to
then.
have it by, sure, yeah, we could. say
That'll be a
email
reminder to those
at
that
least
aren't as familiar with the
72
Brown
hours
Act.
in advance.
Have it
Sure.
in both places, the second.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
I think that's fine.
Okay, and, you know, this is kind of off topic, but, our agendas aren't getting posted online anyplace before meetings.
It's not what Steve Hartman.
No, it's
He
some,
generally posts afterwards, like
He
the
posts- he
recording
puts-
center.
none of the agendas are up there if you look.
Uh-oh.
Where would you wanna post them, on like next door or?
No, we're just talking about on the committee website.
Yeah, I could easily put them on the Audubon website, but I'd prefer to,
No, I think it'd be better on me. I think Steve could do it.
okay,
We could just ask.
I'm gonna start asking.
I thought that let me double check though, because I thought the website did have all prior agendas.
But they're done after the fact, you're saying?
I think it's been after the fact, so it would be just asking him to post the agenda ahead of time.
Cause
and
he
then-
won't put up like draft minutes or he'll just do it when they're done. But if you find an agenda there, let me know.
Yeah, let me take a quick.
So actually, this brings up a good point. I don't know that we need to put it in standing rules yet, but we may need to. There's a new law that's gonna be effect next year that I believe we would be under, which does require posting on website. And I don't know, since we're a city entity, that our private website may or may not comply.
Can we get it into the Ida and thing?
That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
There are other city advisory committees that have gotten permission to do that, so we'd have to work through recreation and parks. It is kind of a hassle. But it would allow people to subscribe, just out of the blue, people we may not know and not on your list. And that could be a plus. So that's why I'm putting that there for long term. But short term, I think, unless we say, hey, we're not exempted from this, but it looks like any entity that's under the Brown Act of it, of subservient, or whatever the word is, of the city of LA, that we're under this provision. So I think if Steve could say, hey, until we get this fixed, maybe through Ida Ensela, it would be there on the city's website somewhere, right? And we wouldn't have to worry about that because it's there, even though no one would be able to find it.
Okay, and you know, I can easily put it on. I can easily put it on Audubon's, but yeah, it should be on a.
It should be somewhere that we can say, hey, it's posted, here's a link. They don't know it's gonna go link to the city.
Sure, it's annoying to set up, but once you do it, it's probably a system.
I'm gonna, you know what, I will start working on the Ida Ensla thing with Rec and Parks.
Okay.
You know, for one thing, if they, you know, it may hinge on how close they are on their website they're working on, and
Yeah.
I see Rosie's
So
image still there, but if they get the basin website done, then that would be the.
that'd be the
place.
right place to do it. That's a good thinking. Like, why don't we wait for that? That's really where it belongs. That's where people are gonna go for info about the basin.
Yeah.
But Pat is right. There's not a single agenda posted. It is all minutes and recordings.
Okay.
I never noticed that.
No, neither did anyone else, don't worry.
Exactly, in all these years. Now, another alternative that would make it a little easier on Steve would be, like, we have a Google Drive for the committee that at least has all the agendas since I've been around. So we could make a publicly viewable folder of all the agendas.
Well, at this point, I'm not.
But maybe there's no point now if we're gonna work on the new website and posting.
And if Steve, I think that's an excellent idea for interim basis. We don't know how long it's gonna take.
And put a link.
Just put the link on the, if Steve could just put that link on the website.
Yeah, I think it could be added just on, you know, we have this page that's.
I can take care, I know what you're saying, I'll take care
Yeah,
of it.
I think the same
past
page could be retitled, instead of minutes, it'd be agendas, minutes, you know, and recordings.
And it's gonna be just a link.
Yeah.
I'll get this stuff, I'll get this stuff in PDF format
Exactly.
in a subdirectory, so it's all organized, so it comes up by date.
Yeah, exactly. It would just be listed the same way it is now with the minutes, only you would post the agenda first, and then once we have the minutes, you'd add the agenda, the minutes under. Yeah.
Additionally, I have access to the Sierra Club or the Angeles chapter's schedule of activities. And in that, there are meetings as well as hikes and activities. So I can spend an hour on the computer and just knock out the whole year, just every month.
Like adding it to the calendar?
Adding it
Sure,
to
I mean,
the
I think
calendar.
any organization that wants to help promote these meetings, that would be very helpful.
Yeah,
We'd
I'm
get
go-
more public participation.
I'm
so-
gonna put them on Audubon's calendar going forward for
Great.
next year.
Thank you.
It's easier to do it all at once.
Okay, so I think that resolves that. We have been in compliance in terms of posting these, but in this era, I think it would be good to also post them
Yeah.
online.
Well,
Especially
I
with
think it's gonna be a requirement as of January 1, so
Okay,
well,
thank you.
We'll get it done.
It will be done.
Thank you.
I think, you know,
Yeah.
there's some other issues too that need to be brought up to the city, but we'll talk about those.
Then we'll have to get out more chairs for people.
Not necessarily, but
We'll see.
Fill
We
fill
offer
up the
the
room.
Zoom participation, so, okay,
course.
that takes care of 3.3. Were there any other standing rule changes?
Yeah,
There was some membership.
admission of a newly, attendance requirements. Who came up with 4 meetings in 8 months?
we, back in 2005, we were meeting every month. And it seemed like if you're not here for 50% of the meetings, which is, you know, like over an 8-month period.
Okay,
If you weren't here for 50%, which is the 4, that's when you were put in probation. That's not the word we use, but
purgatory.
Yeah.
that, and you had to then, you know, get your attendance up so you can participate. Now, since that time, we moved to the every other month. We never made the adjustment. But now we've gone back to every month. But I think because there may be things going back and forth, or maybe we cancel a meeting or whatever. I'm not cancel, but you know, our alternate months, if we decide we don't have enough business, we don't have any, anyway, so maybe there's a better way.
Change to 50% of meetings of the year instead of 40%.
Yeah, over a 12-month period or some sort of a cycle.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think 50% might be better, yeah, over a specified time frame
Yeah.
than what we've got now.
Attend a minimum of 50% of meetings. I mean, that's really quite generous, given
Yeah.
that each organization is supposed to have a voting member and an alternate.
Right, you're missing.
You
half
really
the
should
meetings.
never miss,
That's-
like a
that's a lot.
whole organization should never miss that many meetings.
But that's
So,
why,
yeah,
I agree, totally agree, but that's why it wasn't like a whole year, it was a
right.
portion of a year. So if
Get you
you,
out of fast.
Well, it also gives you a chance to then vote on it towards the end of the year, because you can look at the 8 months or whatever it is, like, yeah, I think that's.
Well, wait, we're gonna change it from,
Percent instead of
They-
4 out of 8.
yeah,
I would say 50%, let's keep it 8 months, so that you're.
50% of
50%
meetings.
of meetings during an 8-month period.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it does mean that if we're meeting bi-monthly, that could mean only missing 2 meetings, but again, this is the organization missing.
Right.
So if you have your alternate should be showing up when you're not able to be there, so I think it's still pretty reasonable.
Okay, so.
and just be clear, it's not a calendar year, it's a moving period.
Right.
The preceding,
The preceding 8 months.
correct.
Mhm. So it's like making sure that at least every 8 months, we're checking in on how the organizations are doing.
All right, and they're not kicked off, they're just
They become non-voting,
Yeah,
yeah.
until they get their percentage up to, you know.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Did we want to, so it says the membership of the committee shall be comprised of organizations with a demonstrated interest in flora, fauna, and natural resources within the Sepulveda Basin. We do say that someone desiring to become a member shall make its request in writing.
right.
What I thought might be helpful, and we don't have to add it to the standing rules, but I don't feel we should make anyone a voting member of this committee if they haven't first like attended a certain number of meetings and gotten to know the committee and its issues.
I agree.
So I wonder if we should say, you know, an organization desiring to become a new member of the committee shall make its request in writing after attending at least X meetings.
Yeah, 2 meetings.
Is this
Yeah.
in here now, Noreen, or is this other language?
The language about doing the request in writing is here, and I'm suggesting we add that they will have had to attend a certain number of meetings.
At least 2 meetings.
Okay.
What about also, and I know we've visited this before, including the 2 neighborhood councils into the voting scheme? I think they both have very invested interest in what goes on. So that would
Yeah.
be something else
I think
to
that's
agendize for the new year. Once
something we
again,
could
try to
discuss in the
visit
new
that.
year. We've talked about that in the past. You know, we've had some neighborhood council members like Glenn and Pat who have a strong interest.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't just be interest, it should be sort of like background or expertise. Like this committee is really supposed to be environmental organizations that have some expertise to bring to bear to actually advise Rec and Parks about what's needed in terms of wildlife habitat. So there are many users of the basin, many different organizations, you know, the model airplane folks, who I think we should have some sort of group for those folks. But this particular group, as I understand it, was really designed to be made up of environmental organizations. And so the neighborhood councils, the danger is we could do that, but what if we don't have a Glenn or a Pat? What if there are people with no relevant background and expertise who are now weighing in on what to do with habitat and the flows in the river and everything that we've dealt with in here that's kind of more technical? So that would be my only concern with it. I don't think that means we can't consider it. I just want to put that out there that it is intended to be environmental organizations. And that was sort of the hesitation or keeping those as non-voting members.
So we had this debate more than once.
Yeah, a couple of years
And
ago.
I remember, no, it was before that too.
Okay.
Cause I remember at one point Muriel was in opposition and it was partly, I think, because of that music festival or something like that. And then,
Yeah.
and there was one neighbor council that was in support.
Yeah.
And then another one's opposed. Anyway, I mean, I thought there was some reconsideration. I'm not speaking, she's on the call. She can speak for herself. But I do know that there's been changes when it was first discussed and
Yeah.
voted down and then considered again. The one thing, a couple of comments. Number one, when this committee was formed in about 1990,
Mhm.
there was no city charter, new city charter, which came in 1999. There were no certified neighbor councils in the Sepulveda Basin.
Yeah.
Encino was certified in 2002, so 12 years later. Lake Balboa followed a couple of years after that, and Encino has the basin, everything south of Victory and west of the 405. Lake Balboa has a shared facility of the Sepulveda Basin, not that's everything south of Victory. That's number one. Number two, this is a city of, we are recognized as being advisory of the city of LA. So if we're a recognized city of LA, neighbor councils for years have asked for a seat at the table. We have a seat at the table, but we're ex officio,
Right.
non-voting. But for other entities such as the regional RVNOC committee that decides what money is actually spent in the basin on projects, you know, we fought with the council, we persuaded the council members, you know, get the neighbor councils to be a voting member of the projects that are funded, not just in the basin, but other areas as well. So yes, I agree with Joe as far as re-looking at that, not just because I'm currently with the neighbor council, I don't know how much longer I will be, but I think that you may not have someone who has a background in environmental and maybe overlap with some other environmental things. But on the other hand, the majority by far of this group is made up of the original.
I can about this for a future meeting.
Well, because we're talking about the standards now.
Meeting, but I think, one approach that I'll put out there, and we don't have to decide tonight, but another way to handle this. So two things. One, if we don't already have it, we could make it more formally part of the agenda to get input from neighborhood councils. So like for DWP board, on every meeting, we have any comments or statements from neighborhood councils about like agendized items. So we could more formally solicit the input of neighborhood councils if we feel that would be helpful. In terms of voting members, one way to move forward that might be a hybrid step is, you know, we didn't have before, but we do now have a neighborhood council sustainability alliance. The NCSA is made up of members of neighborhood councils that have a demonstrated interest in environment and sustainability. So we could add the NCSA as a voting member and say that the representative of NCSA should be a member of Lake Balboa, Van Nuys, or, you know, relevant councils. The other members would be, you know, still welcome as non-voting members, but then we would just be adding one vote that is representative of neighborhood councils in a way that keeps it tied to environment and sustainability. So
And there'd be buy-in, of course.
yeah,
I think that's smart, and that stays within the purpose, the written purpose.
exactly.
It
Then we're
does.
moving from the mission, and then we're not creating like creep where other organizations in the basin whose interests may or may not be, you know, environmental, won't end up like saying, oh, but you're permitting this. So that would be my recommendation, and we can either, you know, discuss that tonight, or we can agendize it for January. And
Well, we
I'm
need to-
happy to approach NCSA. I don't know, do you guys know if Encino, Van Nuys, or Lake Balboa are already members? And if not, it'd be a good time to get that going.
So Encino's definitely a member and I am one of the representatives. But we have the option of having more than one. I think,
Member and an alternate, and they could be from different councils.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kathy was gonna say something.
Muriel's got her hand up. Muriel, you go first and then Kathy.
Yes, well, I think what Narit has to say is very wise. We have had members, representatives from neighborhood councils who have made wonderful contributions to this committee. But in some instances, we've had those whose basic values do not necessarily align with those of this committee in general. And I think the idea of the neighborhood sustainability committee, I'm not sure I have the name quite right, makes all sorts of sense because those are people who are oriented to the purpose of the committee, which is furthering and managing the wildlife reserve and wildlife areas in Sepulveda Basin.
Thank you. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I like the idea. Kathy.
Yeah, I agree with the idea as well, and I just wanted to say that I am active in the NCSA, and part of the advocacy committee.
Mhm.
Perfect. Well, it
Great.
seems like you and Glenn might make good, member and alternate, and you guys can sort out who's
Yeah,
what. But that might be a really good approach, and they're doing so much relevant work around native plants and all kinds of, related advocacy. So I think that
Right.
would make a lot of sense.
I mean,
okay,
the one problem is unless you restrict it somehow, because I don't always agree with Sustainability Alliance, they have different factions of things that I would argue are anti-environmental in some aspects. I mean, they have a portion that's for one goal of environment, but for example, dense housing, but you have the trees committee saying, no, 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 because then you're eliminating space for trees.
Like it happens with any group. Two would be a self-selecting group, and so.
Well, I don't know, that's my point, is that my experience with, anyway, it could be,
Sierra
but,
Club, there are people who
Yeah, I was gonna
have
say,
different,
you look around.
okay, anyway, here,
Thought.
but we're discussing it now, and I hope it will be on our agenda for next time, because it's on the agenda tonight, and we have to consider it, so I think we should.
Yeah.
And the point I want to make, excuse me, the point I want to make was that it should be a neighborhood count, NCSA comprised of someone who is associated with a neighborhood council that has a connection to
I
the
think it
basin.
needs to be, I think it needs to be the three adjacent neighborhood councils, Van Nuys, Encino, and Lake Balboa.
uh-huh,
Yeah. So
It's
it's not
cost-
just gonna be any representative of
Okay,
NCSA.
so I think possibly in terms of Army Corps owned lands,
Uh-huh.
Sherman Oaks might also.
I'll put, we can add Sherman Oaks too,
They're close enough.
yeah. They are adjacent.
We could also just leave it open
Van
and say
Nuys.
that the members must have a demonstrated interest in the basin, either an adjacent neighborhood council or someone who is, because it could, like, the basin does serve the whole valley and everybody, and so if there's a member of NCSA who's like out here birding every week and really passionate about the basin.
But they
and
live in
wants to serve,
Reseda.
and they
Yeah.
live in another neighborhood council, so maybe we shouldn't restrict it, but we should put language in there that is about a demonstrated interest or
Within
connection.
5 miles of the basin.
What
Well,
if they live 6? No, you're right, there should be an instruction in this similar to the one that we all have.
right, exactly, that it's a demonstrated interest in the flora,
Yeah.
fauna,
Yeah.
and natural
Yeah.
resources of the basin.
That still applies.
And that makes
Well-
it likely that the adjacent neighborhood councils, who are still gonna remain as non-voting members, by the way, like, I think that the local neighborhood councils should continue to have a seat at the table the way they have. But now NCSA would be added, and those representatives could have a voting and an alternate. And those would be determined based on who has the strongest, interest and connection to the basin. And it's pretty likely that that may end up being the local neighborhood councils. But if in the future, Glenn has stepped off and there's others who just don't care about the wildlife reserve, but there's someone from some other, area of the valley or even outside, because this is a major park that serves the city. We have birders who come here from all over the city to the basin. And if there's someone who's really passionate about the wildlife reserve, I don't think it needs to be restricted geographically. Dan lives in Oak Park,
Yeah, but
you know.
I don't want to belabor the point tonight, but I do disagree with that, because I do think the whole point of involving neighborhood councils is to get local people who live in the area. I mean, that's why they would be as voting members,
Okay.
because they don't, there's nothing about their organization that adds in terms of like flora and fauna. It's like BOA or Sierra Club or whatever, those are distinct interest groups. The interest group of neighborhood council is locality. So.
But it's the sustainability
Yes,
council.
but the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance has a whole specific agenda around environment and engages neighborhood council representatives from around the city.
All right, I think we're kind of talking about apples and oranges a little bit in that. I think that's fine.
Right, is the goal geography? or is the-
Exactly, right. And I don't know, do we want to start adding more groups? Like, do you want to add?
Well, we have talked about, being open
Yeah.
to new environmental groups, especially with one of the votes tonight is going to be to remove the river project formally because Melanie is gone. So I think we are open to new members, but again, we were trying to make it members with an interest in.
Of course, and I'd be open to adding a bunch of new groups if there are a bunch of new groups out there interested in the flora and fauna of the Sepulveda Basin.
Right.
Tree People was one, and so they could easily be added again if they had a member that wanted to come.
Right,
Yeah,
and their
but-
new executive director, Cassie, is, I think, a fantastic leader, and we could consider engaging them. But regardless, I see your point, Dan. I think the question is the point to get input from neighborhood councils broadly or from the community that's adjacent to the basin? I think if the point is the community adjacent to the basin and to give them a vote finally when they've been non-voting members for a long time, then it would make sense to say that the representatives of NCSA should be from one of the adjacent, and we could make it Sherman Oaks, Van Nuys, Lake Balboa, and that's fine.
It's like either
We can
do it
always-
right or don't do
Yeah.
it.
We can always amend that later.
Well, I do want to say,
Yeah.
so I thank you for that thought as well, 'cause that's, it's evolving. Certainly, I see value in both
Yeah.
because the NCSA is out there, they have connections, et cetera. They have dealt with the basin on issues, maybe because Pat and others have brought to their attention. I'm talking about over the years. But I think in terms of the characterization of the two neighbor councils that have the entire basin, for 20+ years, it's not just locality, because both of those neighbor councils have Parks Committee or Parks and Environment Committee. Both of them have had agenda items dealing with council files that they've taken positions on, in not just Sepulveda Basin, but environmental things that may affect, et cetera. So fires and homelessness and just all the sorts of issues. So there are a lot of overlapping types of things. I don't know how we evaluate those, because what if the neighbor council stopped having a Parks and or Environment Committee? What if they stopped doing community impact statement? I mean, but right now they both are.
Yeah.
I mean, that include the entire basin.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think that probably, we're discussing it now, it's
Yeah.
under the standing rules, and maybe it should be on the agenda for our next meeting, if it necessitates a change in the standing rules, because that's what we're doing here tonight.
Yes, exactly. I think for the standing rules, I mean, I would be. So the standing rules already say organizations with a demonstrated interest. And so NCSA is an organization with a mission that aligns. So we could consider them as a new member. Based on the standing rules, as we just amended it, we would want them to attend 2 meetings. It sounds like Glenn is already connected to NCSA, which is great, and so is Kathy. So we can consider it without spelling it out in the standing rules here to add them as an organization.
And I used to be as a council member for Reseda, so I used to go to those
great.
meetings too. but
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been to them.
And then I think we don't have to put it in the standing rules, but I think once NCSA is joined as a member, we will make it clear that the people representing NCSA should be local if possible. And if in some future date, there's no local good person, we would consider someone again with a demonstrated interest in the Flora Fauna Center.
Muriel has
Can-
her hand.
Yeah, I'd like to pipe up. I represented San Fernando Valley Audubon on this committee for well over 20 years while living in Malibu, and have an extremely intense relationship to the Sepulveda Basin. So I think we can just, you can just leave it to the judgment of that organization to select somebody who cares and is involved with the Sepulveda Basin. Sepulveda Basin has a very active, involved number of people who do not live within 5 or even 10 miles of Sepulveda Basin, but visit it frequently. So I would leave it to their judgment as to what individual they select. And of course, and just leave it at that.
That sounds good. So, I mean, I think we could,
Can I say something?
yeah,
Just that, I know that, that Glenn has pointed out that we are all stakeholders of the Encino Neighborhood Council because we have an interest and we come here. Right, Glenn? So we
Well,
can be
actually-
part of that neighborhood council.
well, the
As a
neighborhood council
stakeholder.
has formal membership. That people get voted as members of the
Yeah.
neighborhood council, but yes, the neighborhood council then represents the community, which would include residents of Encino or that area for sure.
Oh,
Well,
but they
it's
would
not-
never be on the council.
Correct, yeah, the council members are actually like voted in.
They're elected.
They're elected.
From the physical geographic zone.
But yeah, I think without much change to the standing rules, we could actually consider the motion tonight to add NCSA and
But they
remove
need
river
more
project. What's that? Oh, right, we want the letter in writing.
We
Okay,
want the letter in
And
writing.
we don't know that they're.
how about a motion to invite them?
Yeah.
I
I'd
would,
like to do a motion to invite them tonight. I'd be happy to reach out to the head of the organization, and suggest.
Maybe they
if
want nothing to
they're
do with it.
engaged members. What's that?
Maybe they want nothing to do with it.
I don't
Yeah,
think
they
that would
might
be the
tell you
case. Yeah,
go pound salt.
I don't think that would be the case. So I think we could invite them. We already have members connected to NCSA who have attended enough meetings that we would accept a letter from them now and could add them in January.
Okay.
I don't think we need a motion. You could just go ahead and do it. I could do it. Any one of us
Go ahead
could
and
do
do
it.
Okay, please do invite them. You're welcome as the potential members, Glenn and Catherine to reach out.
Mhm.
I'll also give them a heads up, 'cause I'm working closely with Lisa and others on other stuff, so.
Okay.
And if nothing else, they can publicize within their network about these meetings.
Exactly, and they have a very strong network, so I
Not
think
just
you'd be a great
Not just to
addition.
be voting members, but to be attending.
Well, that's the idea. They
Yeah.
have to attend.
Well, and they could do that.
No,
I mean, they
but-
send out
As an
an
audience.
Right,
They
they could
send out
also
an
help
blast.
promote, for sure. I think they have a very
That'd be
nice, strong network and would be a great addition for both helping to promote events and the value of the basin, et cetera. So I think this solves all our problems. Yay, great.
I don't think it solves all the problems because we still don't have, the two neighbor councils have the entire Sepulveda Basin,
Sure,
a voting, we have a non-voting ex officio.
well, no, but if NCSA becomes a member and then those two neighborhood councils are serving as,
One vote, one vote for
It
NSA.
diminishes their vote. So it only solves some of them.
okay, well, but it's a good start.
It's a great start.
It's a good
I
start.
think it's a good start. If in the future we determine we could allow NCSA to have two representatives, one from each neighborhood council, if we really felt it was important to have that kind of representation, so.
Well, that's,
Audubon kind of has two and Sierra Club kind of has two from different regions.
They're two organizations.
I see, Missy
Right.
wants to make a comment. Where'd you go? Let's go on you.
Is this Missy's first meeting?
Yes,
If it is,
Can I-
apologize, the first meeting of this Sepulveda Basin Committee is all about the standing rules. It's not usually like this. We have a lot of critical issues we're dealing with.
This was done
This is a
deliberately.
special meeting just to deal with elections and stuff, so thank you for your patience.
no, that's okay. I'm enjoying what I am witnessing, so thank you for allowing me to. I just wanted to bring to your attention, there's someone that wanted to ask a question, Miriam Presso. She didn't raise
Yes,
her hand.
Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to comment on this. I know Jim Stein was very upset not being a voting member. I have to admit that there's been no decision you guys have ever made that I've disagreed with. I don't know. I want to contribute, but for me to keep up and be knowledgeable with everything that you all are not knowledgeable of, would be overwhelming. So, the responsibility of being a voting member is not something I'm aspiring to, although I want to be as supportive as I can to the group. So, that is my input. There may be other people in the future that come from the neighborhood council that are more qualified or are more concerned about having that vote. I just want to let you know
Thank you.
that
That's a
I
really
want to
helpful
be supportive,
perspective.
but
Yeah.
that is not the most important thing for me.
Well, I think we could. I would also be supportive of, if it's not already there in our, I know we have a standard report from government agencies. It'd be nice to call out reports from neighborhood councils as a standing agenda item.
We do,
We do?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
I mean, we've got them at the end for members, but we could add them to the government
We could
agencies.
just call it out separately. I'm
We
just
can
saying,
do that.
we called out separately the way we do at DWP, where it's like comments from neighborhood councils on, you know, just to elevate them a little bit more, even if they're not, each one has a voting, at least we're really acknowledging their participation in more formal.
No, we can move them.
Yeah, it should be a one-to-one, the reports should equal the number of organizations, and currently they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I think government agencies and neighborhood councils are not quite the same thing, and I think it's nice to call them out as a separate kind of entity. And then in addition, we'll add NCSA and have an opportunity for the environmental focus of the neighborhood councils to have a formal vote.
So I'll add them after government agencies and then we'll have neighborhood councils.
Great, thank you.
So can I clarify, the
Mhm.
letter to NCSA is to invite them to become a voting member?
No, the invitation will just be informal, but they would have to send us a formal letter requesting to become a member organization, which we would then vote on.
And then attend 2 meetings.
Well, again, I think we've had attendance.
Well, obviously, we've had attendance, so it's after the.
Yeah, so I think we're okay. But in the future, if some other organization like Tree People wanted to join, we would want them to attend a couple meetings first and then make them official. Yeah, but I think with the neighborhood councils, because we have
Good point.
regularly attending members who are already involved in NCSA, I'd be okay kind of waiving that.
Sure.
2.2.
Great.
Are we, okay, I'm seeing no other hands raised. I think that we
I
just
think
need
we're
to,
good to vote on the new standings, right?
no,
Oh,
wait, I believe we have to vote on the new standing rules at the next meeting, don't we? Glenn?
Yeah, the standing rules say you present
okay.
it at one meeting and then
Can we vote next time?
yeah.
So
that's-
if we're good with what we've got now, we'll be voting on it at this meeting.
There
Okay.
were two things
Sounds good.
here at the end. Did you discuss those?
Which two?
Adding a section defining conditions for removal of.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And that would, you know, I think, obviously the river project, but, if we do have we have no provision for removing a member.
Well, so we have this thing where people become non-voting after reduced participation, and so maybe we add a clause there that if there are multiple periods of not being in good standing, then an organization, by vote of the committee could be removed.
Mhm.
Do we want to have that be formalized, or we should deal with it on a case by case?
I think case by case.
I'm trying
I
to,
prefer case by case.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if we've had a group that was a member that like dissolved. if you will.
Yeah, I was
We
thinking-
did with the goose thing.
Oh, yeah,
This
right.
project.
Canadian Goose.
So how did we, yeah, the Goose Project, how
They
did,
just kind of got dropped off eventually.
Oh, what's her name?
Well, what we could say is that
Yeah,
the
right.
removal of an organization, you know, due to extenuating circumstances or however we want to phrase it, would require a vote of the full committee.
yeah, because I think in the Goose Project, it was just, you know, stopped attending, didn't have another representative.
Although, of course, if a group wanted to drop off, we wouldn't want to have to make a vote for
No.
them to remove
Right,
themselves.
right. So let's come up
I
with some
think maybe
wording
we
that,
leave it alone for now.
Keep it simple.
You know, but the problem is if you've got
I do think a period of non-participation that's long enough that we
But-
should remove.
but
them.
if somebody wants, if a group wants to drop off, we should have a provision for that. And specifically in this case, I would want the River Project, but I haven't heard, there's no alternate. It seemed like Melanie was like
I
a
think
one woman.
it was Melanie's sole, you know.
Right,
as
so
the sole-
it affects our quorum. In the interim, you know,
Yeah,
until we
it
get
does.
down to less than 4. So I do think there's a provision in, you know, as much as I'd like the group to continue to be involved, if it was only Melanie, then,
I think we do need to vote to officially take off the river project because we no longer have a living member. of the
Right.
group.
right,
But whether or not we need to add something to the standing rules for this rare occurrence,
Yeah.
You know, and maybe the fact that an organization becomes a non-voting member with lack of participation is enough. Maybe they don't have to be removed. We could.
But that's
do-
that's 8 months of like affecting our quorum, and
Well,
it's
yeah.
not the first time it's happened. The Goose
Yeah.
Project is another.
It'll keep coming up, I agree.
Well, okay, so how many periods of being not in good standing before they're removed entirely?
Well, I would, first of all, think of these two groups,
Yeah,
because the Goose Project, even though they're supposedly volunteers out counting the geese in the earlier days,
yeah.
I think we all know that it ended up being,
Listed as a member.
no, I know that, I'm just, as an example,
Yeah, yeah.
where I would never say this about the Sierra Club or Audubon, because there's thousands. Yeah, right, exactly. But when you have a group that's really a
It's
group
sort
of
of
one,
dissolves. Yeah.
you know,
I'm
especially,
gonna correct you, Rosemary's was not a group of
no,
one.
I said there
Okay.
I said there were people involved with the goose counting over the years, but go ahead, but I want
I
to
have,
make,
I have pictures of her board.
Well, so we could say a member
Okay.
organization,
okay,
a member organization may be removed if they, you know, request to be removed. So we could, you know, request to be removed are no longer a viable organization or, you know, dissolve.
Yeah.
Or have been not in good standing for 2 periods of 8 months.
And would you add with the vote of the committee?
Yeah,
I think it's important, because I think looking in
yeah,
the future, there will be situations where we all would agree that
Right.
this person's gotta go, you know what I mean,
Exactly.
like that.
and by having the request in writing, if they wanna leave, then we're
Don't
not
do that.
holding them hostage.
Yeah, don't do
so-
that.
Well, so
I think we should.
Yes.
I'd
I think
say
if
like,
an organization is still a viable organization, but they want to leave this committee,
Mhm.
they should send us a note in writing and we
But-
just.
But
like-
add if they're no longer a viable
Okay, so-
organization.
Yeah, yeah.
how's this, a member or organization may be removed, one, at their written request,
Mhm.
or two, by
Vote of committee.
vote.
And maybe we just leave it at that, by
Yeah.
vote of committee, and the committee can decide what those terms are.
No
and
one's
it
gonna
could be-
complain.
Cause that would allow us
And
to
the
deal
vote of
with
the
special
committee?
circumstances.
Right.
But could the vote of the committee be that you guys are annoyed that I don't like Roundup?
Well, it could be.
Well-
No, I-
well, I
Well,
do think we should address the issue of no longer in existence or whatever. word
yeah,
you wanna
I
choose.
agree with you.
Yeah, just leave it at
by,
that.
And-
by vote of committee, that allows us to have it be due to a number of reasons. It could be someone passed, it could be, you know, they're no longer a viable, it's kind of up to the committee to decide the reason. If we want to start laying them out, it might be kind of a long list, like they've
Well-
resolved, they're no longer a viable organization, they've been not in good standing for too long. I think the
For
committee can have.
example.
That's
some
three,
discretion.
that's 3 reasons, and I don't think that's unreasonable to list those as a non-exclusive.
By vote of committee.
You know, for example,
Okay, so you
it doesn't,
There, you know, or
Right.
other extenuating
right,
circumstances.
I will say, I do disagree, if a group does say they want to step down from the committee,
Yeah,
we should, to use whoever's words that don't hold them hostage, and if we don't have a quorum because they're still officially a member, and they have sent something in writing saying they want to drop
One-
off.
plus they should be off.
They're voting,
Okay.
then they're voting.
Right.
Well, I heard we had to vote on it.
Committee, or it was by letter request or by. vote of the committee. It
Or
wasn't
by
the-
vote of committee. It wasn't, and
Okay, just make sure the wording is clear.
it is clear.
Okay, great. All right, so or
I
vote
don't
of the
have-
committee, and we could, why don't we have it be, you know, for reasons including but not limited to dissolution of an organization, lack of participation, you know, multiple terms not in good standing. And what was the third one?
That's good enough.
That's good, you know,
Is it a majority
or other extenuating circumstances.
Just
Our voting
figure
is
out,
really what?
figure out the not in good standing, what time period you want for that.
I think if there are 2 8-month periods that go by where they continue to be not in good standing, that's enough. That's a lot.
Why
Yeah.
2 though? I mean, so you're saying 16 months? Or you're
Okay.
saying,
We already
Yeah.
decided it was 8 months, so let's just leave it at 8.
Well, 8 months moves them from a voting member to a
Oh.
non-voting member.
And takes them out of quorum requirement.
Right, so I'm saying that that's like their probation period. So they had 8 months where they weren't showing up, that makes them a non-voting member for another 8 months. If during that non-voting member time, they still don't show up, then they're out.
okay,
I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Especially since we allow alternates.
Okay,
People
do
gotta
we,
figure out coverage.
do we have the not in good voting status? Cause we don't really mark it here.
I do,
Pat tracks it.
It is not,
go ahead.
not in good standing, is that on the agenda?
Well,
Oh, do we list it on the agenda each time?
We list groups on the agenda. We know who may not be in good standing, but it should be.
Should it be in parentheses,
Yeah.
non-voting?
well, I couldn't figure out how the hell to do it because it went to meetings every other month and I couldn't figure out
Right.
how on earth you would even,
Yeah.
although I did look and I was,
Well, I think the clock starts again in January.
Yeah,
This is a new methodology.
the clock starts again. I was very, very frustrated with
Well,
barely
but
making quorum.
if
a few
somebody
times.
missed 8 months of meetings, that would be 4 meetings
Yeah.
in 8 months. So I think the existing rules still would apply
Yeah.
as far as someone not being in good standing.
But
Right.
what I'm saying is we're adding that if there is then
Right.
a second period of
Right.
8 months where they miss more than 50% of the meetings,
Mhm.
then we could vote to remove them.
Yeah,
It's not automatic, but they are now up for a vote to whether or not they
Okay.
remain.
mhm.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
I think.
More
so.
than fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay,
Great.
doke.
Any
Um,
other amendments to the standing rules for us to consider, or is that the last?
No, we're gonna, I will do these minutes. We'll get them out so people can look and make sure they're as we understand them.
Great.
Do we have any, are we sort of done
I
with
just
that?
wanted to circle back on what we just did or what we're proposing. So at the January meeting, and let's say we amend that section. I guess it's not listed here. Can you put on the agenda after we do the standing rules,
Mhm.
the issue of the river project? And I don't know if it'll fall under the 4 months, 8 months of 4 absences and then an extended time, or it would fall into the wording of, we know that the,
Dissolution.
right, so,
There's no,
Membership to represent the group.
and that's the discussion we need to have, because NCSA is raising money to keep the website going.
Mhm.
But I didn't know if there was like,
But that's an archive. I don't think that's. in
if that-
terms of-
so there's nobody,
Nobody continued.
it's a viable nonprofit with some.
It's to keep her records and her archive alive, but it's
Okay.
not.
well,
there's no
that's what I
membership.
wanted to.
The
clear up.
river, but it's not, are they gonna dissolve the corporation?
I believe so. I believe it was just to keep the website to honor.
But it has some assets, actually.
Well, I've got some contacts who are very closely involved with her estate. I can double check. If there
Okay.
is someone who's gonna take over the river project, then we don't have to remove them.
Cause I looked,
Wonderful.
Because that new person could,
But I'm not
Yeah.
sure that that's the plan,
If they-
so.
I think it may be an attorney that's signing as a director that probably there is no one left to do.
Correct. I believe Melanie was sort of the sole proprietor and did not have employees or.
Well, it was,
She hired.
it's a corporation in good standing.
Right, but if there's no CEO or person who's a member of that corporation, I don't think they can be a member of our organization.
So can we bring this back to our January meeting?
Yeah, we
And-
don't have to
and-
vote on river.
No, we don't have to, but if it's on our agenda, we could consider it, and
Yeah.
if you have additional information
We'll
like.
try to get additional information before.
Okay.
That is fine. So the one issue though is that the change to the standing rules with so we don't have an issue then, since we decided to stick with vice chair, we can still vote on the appointment of the chair, even without the standing rules change. Are we comfortable with that?
First of all, over the years, we haven't always, there have been times where the person's carried forward till January because we didn't do it
Yeah.
in November.
Pat,
So
can
it's,
continue till January.
that's exactly what has happened in the past, not always, but has. And I would just say agendize it after the standing rules discussion, so
We'll
then,
vote on standing rules and then we'll vote. The
on the-
that will be officially.
and the vice chair staggered
Okay,
issue.
sounds good.
Got it.
So I will say this, I am open to stepping up to vice chair with Pat. If someone else really wants to do that and is willing to put in the work, let us know. We can nominate you, at the January meeting. Otherwise, we'll be voting on Pat and me in January.
Can I ask another standing rule question?
Yeah,
There was a discussion about minute taking and secretary and all that.
yeah.
Is there really anything that requires it to be a voting member of this committee to do that? And if not, then, I mean, if we need to make any changes to clarify that, then we should maybe do that, because I could see, I mean, yes, something,
Yeah, secretary, anyone can take minutes.
Yeah.
but I heard something that was contrary to that, and I just want to clarify, because in this day, and when these were written, we didn't have Zoom. We
Right.
didn't have AI.
Right.
We didn't have some of these tools that could possibly make someone who may want to participate, who doesn't want to be, or isn't a voting member.
As long as the board members review the minutes and really make sure, you know, it can't just be AI, because AI makes mistakes. So a human being, whether a voting member or not, I think, like, you know, our neighborhood council members would be welcome to step up as secretary if they wanted to. I don't think there's anything in here that says that they have to be. What it says about the minutes is that they'll be prepared and distributed with the agenda, and they shall include the names of attendees, motions or actions taken, and a summary of discussion.
Anyone can do them.
So, yeah, so anyone is welcome to raise their hand. The position of secretary is not formalized in the standing rules, so it doesn't have to be the same person doing minutes each time. So if there's 2 or 3 people who want to kind of cover minutes, and we'll, you know, make sure there's somebody to do it each time, I think we can do it however we want to do it, as long as they get them. Great.
Do we have any reports from member organizations?
No, it's a special meeting too, so we don't really.
It's special. I'll give you a really quick one.
Okay.
We're at the point with the goat grazing. We're going back and forth with how the insurance certificate is to be filled out, which has required approximately 30 emails.
Yeah.
And the Christmas bird count is Saturday for San Fernando Valley Audubon. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. And we'll be doing our counting duty.
I can be
Who's
quick.
the basin?
And
The basin?
Chris Olenkamp, and they're doing different pieces of it too.
Oh, great.
Rose is doing Bull Creek.
Mhm.
I hope she doesn't go down in the creek bottom. It's dangerous. So we've got several people doing different parts. I do other things. We do have birds and beer after the count. Everyone's welcome, but please sign up on Eventbrite. I think there is a link on our website. And it's 4:30 to 7 at the Woodley Lakes Golf Course.
Oh, nice.
And we're providing appetizers.
Oh,
Good
lovely.
idea.
They have good wings there.
Oh, cool. Good to know.
Thanks.
That's a
And
preference.
also they have cauliflower wings.
Hmm.
So I bet you didn't know they could fly.
Yeah, I did.
For those who
I don't
plan
know.
on owling after, that would be a nice like break for you.
Yeah,
I'm not interested.
I'm
Owl count
Hmm?
in the dark.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
people manage to do a full day of count and then go owling after. I've only done that 1 year and I wasn't.
I'm too old.
Exactly. I
So-
like to go to bed during owl
Yeah.
time.
So I have one thing that's actually officially in Encino Neighborhood Council this time.
Mhm.
There is a project of DWP to install, as I understand it, solar installation on the Encino Reservoir surface. And there's a meeting that the
Thursday night.
Thursday night. You're all invited via Zoom to learn more about the project and any concerns as far as covering the lake up
Yeah.
solar
And the
facility.
understanding is it will be a small portion of the lake. It will not be the entire lake, so there will still be plenty of water for wildlife.
It's 10 acres and I measured the lake today. The lake is approximately 125 acres.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's, yeah.
So I-
So it's a small
My
portion.
feedback is that part of the messaging hasn't gotten out, just FYI.
Yeah.
'Cause okay, so that's Thursday. I guess it's on the website. And then the other thing I'd comment on is in the past years, the homeless count has always been on the 4th Tuesday, which conflicted with our meetings. But for spot 2 this year, it's gonna be on the 3rd Tuesday, so it won't conflict with our meeting.
Yep.
It's on the 20th, I believe.
All right.
I think
Um,
that's incorrect. Hold on.
okay, it could be, so I need the person who provided me the information needs to,
Hold on,
okay, while you're doing that,
because I may have an issue that night.
okay. I was told, because I was trying to set something up for the 21st, and they said, no, the count is on the 20th, so that's somebody who works for LASA, but they could be wrong, so and I also don't know if they're gonna, I understand there's a separate count for the basin, are they gonna include and do basin the same night or another?
No, we don't do the basin at night. The basin is done with multiple teams during the day. It is not going to be.
As part of the other count then, okay.
Mhm.
All
And
right.
you know what, you may be very right about the, you know what, you're right, the count is the 20th. You're right.
Okay,
All right.
all right, that's all I have.
Good, thank you very much. I just about had a heart attack there.
I have a question. There still is no public access to the Encino Reservoir.
No,
Correct. That will not change.
That's good. Okay.
okay, so I am
One
calling the
last
meeting
thing,
over at 8:06 p.m.
one last thing, Pat. Sierra Club Angeles chapter has a new executive director. Her name is Juanita Chavez, the daughter of Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta.
Really?
So she has pretty significant lineage.
Yeah.
Additionally, they're having their annual retreat, in-person retreat. Won't be hybrid. So everybody's gonna be required to come together at least at the beginning of the year on January 17th.
Okay.
And that place is to be determined.
Thank you.
So
Thanks.
that'll be January 17th, this Saturday. In LA somewhere, I'm sure.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thanks all.
are we done?
That's it, adjourned.
Okay,
Adjourn. Thanks, Sumi.
thank you for everyone who attended online. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't.
There will be some additional community meetings from DWP about the